Okay, I'd like for you to share just some of your early memories. Perhaps maybe say your earliest memory that you can, earliest thing you can remember.
The earliest thing I can remember, probably visiting my grandmother at her house, or they were very much a part of my sisters in my life. You know, it was in Atchison at the corner where Kansas is cut off by the Missouri River, and we walked everywhere we went. They didn't have a car.
How old were you, maybe?
Oh, it was when I was born. Born to, you know, just summers, and we would go and spend time there, like a week or something. My sister and I.
And then you.
What was your grandmother's name?
Vesta Beatrice
What's her last name?
Kaufman. Yeah, but she was a Wallach. You know, that's her married name.
Probably when
So-
you ask a question, it might be good to repeat.
Mia, repeat the question
Yeah, say my
okay.
grandmother's, because it.
so we can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I know that your father was in World War II, and you were a furlough baby. When do you remember meeting your father?
Oh golly, I was really, when he came home, I mean, I was just little. My dad, I don't remember those early years except when we moved to Wichita and we lived in Hilltop. And my dad was one that would throw us up in the air like you guys do your kids.
Did you throw us up in the
Huh?
air? Did you throw us up in the air?
I didn't. But did he? Yes. Earliest memories of my dad, he just made all kinds of things for us, like high jump standards, broad jump pits, sand piles, backstop for softball.
What memories do you have of your mom? Early memories.
I just really admired my mom. I idolized her. I wanted to be just like her. She was caring, and she was. I could always count on her being there. She was creative, and she did good things for people, and she liked older people. I liked that about her. She was real serious. My daddy was more jolly. He had a smile.
What about your elementary years? What do you remember about those? Running to and from school.
Oh yes, I would get on my horse.
A pretend horse.
From my house, and I'd gallop across the park, which was long. It was kind of from catty corner, you know. So, and
It was a mile around the park. We lived on it. It was a mile around the park.
and
So
I think I only rode it across the park because there was a grove of pine trees that I would park it. I would start at my house, ride it to the pine trees and park it, and then I'd walk the rest of the way, pick up a friend, and walk.
Was there a difference in how you rode the horse compared to walking?
Oh sure, you gallop.
Could you show us what a gallop looks like? Maybe after
Just your
the interview. Maybe
This horse
do a
has
skit.
lost its spring.
What color was your horse?
I have no idea, but he was fast.
Well, then you'd run on to school too, wouldn't you?
Well, I'd
At
pick
home
up a friend. I'd usually, but it was a long way to school. I mean, like 8 blocks. You know, it was, and we crossed a busy street. And we were actually in the 6th grade. We got to be patrol people. You know, patrol. We'd hold those signs out, stop the cars. They let us do so many responsible things.
Well, didn't you run home for lunch?
Oh yeah, I went home for lunch, picked up my horse.
And run back.
Yep. But what I remember about grade school were the giant strides. Anything that was daring, you know, that was the one with the chains that came down and the handlebars, and it would rotate, and we'd fly, and we'd whip like this, and we could keep that thing going.
Is it like a marathon?
Just everybody.
Yeah.
That you hold on to?
Yeah, but
Uh-huh.
you're hanging. you're hanging
By
your
a ch-
feet,
And they're chained.
and if you go, if you get a good push, I mean, you're off the ground. You never touch the ground after the start.
You totally get sued for it now.
Yeah. And we had tether poles with wooden paddles, which was a no-no these days.
What?
A tether ball with wooden paddles.
Oh, so you hit the ball.
You would hit the ball, yeah.
We go fast.
Did you win a lot?
Oh yes, but there was a boy that was better than me.
One boy? Only one?
Yes, his name was Roy Stogsdale. But the other thing is, I played soccer with the boys. Me and maybe 2 other girls, or at least 1 other girl would play. So, because we were good.
And then in junior high, moved to junior high. What do you
Oh,
remember?
junior high, the traumatic years of junior high. Went to pretty much in my grade school, we had 1 little black boy, and then in junior high, it was probably the junior high that had the most black kids. So we were, grade school was great. We were told how to treat other people, and I mean, it was nothing. It was fine. He was, but at junior high, we kind of got into the rough, never saw things that we saw or heard things that we heard before. But anyway, I remember mostly my 9th grade year where we changed schools and, picked the school color, and we're in the school plays, and
7, 8, and 9 was junior high, and 10, 11, 12 was senior high.
yeah.
So you were in school plays. What does that mean? Were you in actor?
I was a chorus. But Janice, Justin and Jason's and Jennifer's mother, she was a star. She was Little Miss Buttercup, which she didn't like because the name itself says that she was. I'm talking way.
This is value, Mom.
Huh?
That's why we're.
I
This is
know.
basically you talk about everyone.
But it was fun to dress up and
What about running? What about track and running in junior high?
we had the physical fitness thing, the president's, where you had to run, walk, the 600, and I did pretty well.
Who's this boy that you beat?
Bobby Hansen. I went to grade school with him, and he was just really fast and smart.
Well, let me interject.
Oh, what?
Bobby Hansen went on to in high school. I'm not sure if it was a national record for high school, but at that point, 9.3 was a world record in the 100-yard dash. He ran a 9.9 in high school, and then he went on scholarship at KU and did some national stuff. But this was her friend in the 6th grade. So now go ahead.
Oh well. I mean, we were running. We ran in junior high, the physical fitness thing, and I ran it.
Well, but
What?
tell about he ran it, and he told you what his time was.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then I told him what my time was. It was the same. So anyway, I was one of those that flashed in the pan. So I flashed early in the pan. I was not competitive. Didn't have a competitive drive. I'm competitive, but.
You feel sorry for the loser.
Yeah, that's what Dad said.
Oh, I
that
don't-
she would feel sorry for the
I don't think I-
people that she would beat.
Now that's Denise.
But that's what your dad said about you.
Well, I forgot that part because I was competitive and I didn't mind winning. Anyway.
So any other junior high memories?
Oh yeah, but I'm not going to tell him on this.
Was that
Was that
whenever you
First kiss
in
or
your
something?
your diary you said
Richard I love and
Elvis I like, but Richard I love.
No, it was
Richard
Elvis I loved, wasn't it?
Elvis?
No, it's Richard I love, but Elvis I adore.
Or something.
you sure I
There was a
didn't-
comparison between. So anyway,
Richard Validen, yes, and he was the best dancer in junior
And
high.
he's the one that died. He had
Yeah,
he
he died.
He died recently. Yeah.
sclerosis or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had Lou Gehrig's disease. But, yeah.
I don't know. You might remember Paul said in Wichita, the restaurant he owned was the
Oh, Redbirds.
yeah, Dr.
I don't
Redbird.
think so. They were.
You were
Go out
pretty.
to restaurants.
I know. We drove by it though. We drove by.
Yeah, they always run the place with the meat pies. With the flame plate.
Oh yeah.
The flame plate. And Godfather plays once a year at the swim team.
I remember the haggis.
Well,
Oh yeah, the haggis.
Oh yeah. I guess Colin's the only one in here.
Is that the one where I fell off the wall?
Beware you
The what?
parents
What
of
was
junior
the
hires.
breakfast place that we went
Make
to
sure
and I
you
fell
know
off
what
the
kind
wall?
of party they're going to.
Breakfast place.
Wasn't there Casey Jones by the
That you
airport
fell
where
off?
they had a train that would serve your food?
Yes, yes.
Oh
Casey-
yeah, oh,
was it
yeah,
Casey
and
Jones?
you were Gramps.
Yes, yes.
You were,
That's right.
you were Gramps,
Oh, this is
and
just a
you
track.
didn't know
Okay.
who I was.
Back. Okay, we'll move for junior high then.
We're not there
Okay.
yet.
We're not through with junior high.
No, we're not we're
Oh, yeah.
live yet.
Okay,
Oh.
let's
We're not
move.
live yet.
Let's move to senior high. What are memories of senior high?
Are there any swimming? I mean, when did swimming?
That was summer. Summer. I was in the Wichita Swim Club, and it was a summer, but it was all year round. If you were the serious one,
But did this start in junior high or senior
When
high?
did swimming start? That's what I'm asking.
probably would have been 12. But I swam across the street forever in the summer, and we went one city year after year after year.
Fairmount Park.
Yeah.
Fairmount Park. But then it must have been more like high school summer when I swam for Bob Timmons Wichita Swim Club, and I was the fourth fastest. I was not first. I was either second or fast enough to be on the fastest relay, but not. I was not the fastest in anything.
But that's where
Except running.
that's where you met
Yeah.
all these famous people, right?
Well, they became famous after.
Right.
Yeah.
Bob Timmons
Oh yeah.
became Jim Ryan's coach and did some KU University coach.
He was the
And
my
Richard
high
Quick, who
school
became
coach
the Olympic coach for
the
many years.
girls Olympic team.
And who else?
Kirstie
Oh,
Alley.
Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley.
She should have kept on swimming.
I know.
Her sister was better.
So should a lot of
She
us.
floated well.
Maybe later in life.
She was the cutest little girl.
Yeah,
Oh
you
my
remember-
goodness.
What do you remember about her?
Well, she was a lot younger than I was.
But
She was a synchronized swimmer.
you said something about her eyes.
Oh, she had beautiful eyes.
Well, she was a beautiful girl, and so was her sister.
But there was a lot less of her then than there is now.
That's,
Edit that one out.
moving on. Moving on.
Okay,
Put it as a
senior high. What are your memories from your senior high? This is 10, 11, and 12 grade.
Yes. I became popular. Unfortunately. No. It was just fun. It was, kind of carefree, and cheerleading was the thing to
Was
want.
cheerleading, was that what did it? Making
No,
you
I got
popular?
my hair cut. That's what did it.
What?
No more braids.
I became cute.
No more braids. You got a haircut.
So you had long hair and then you got it all cut off.
Like Bob. She had braids.
Well, I had this ponytail slicked back, just and back here. So then I got it cut in a pixie, probably my 9th grade year.
That's
Just
what
like
your
this.
12th grade, that's what your 10th grade. I guess Dad was saying that you have short hair in your 10th grade picture, your sophomore picture. That's-
Sophomore, oh yeah, and
And blonde.
I bleached it.
and blonde.
It's on Facebook.
You were definitely a looker.
But you.
No, I was just cute. I think they thought, well, what?
You were a cheerleader your 10th, 11th, and 12th year.
No, I didn't get it my
10th year.
my sophomore year, but junior year and senior year I did.
Did you have to tumble to get it? How'd you get?
You had to, you went before the whole school, and then the whole school voted on you. And the
But you
first,
had to perform, right?
yeah, you had to do a cheer. And a jump, and
Do you do your cheer?
huh?
Do your cheer here.
I can't jump anymore. I've lost my springs.
So what's the cheer? Do you remember what cheer you did?
Oh, I know my high school cheers. Yeah.
Give us the cheer.
City. Oh.
We had a song, our fight song, and then we had a let's see. We had kind of a little dance. We were the first ones that came on with a little dance where you'd pass, and then we just have hold them down, hold them down, hold them down.
Oh, I know.
With arm movements, and then you jump at the end. You know.
We're going to digress a little bit. Go back to when she was 5 or 6 years old. She and her sister, their mother taught them a poem. Or,
My grandfather was it?
your grandfather when she was 5 or 6 years old, and she discovered that she still. Last year, her sister was here visiting us, and they got to talking. They discovered that they still had this. So, can you recall that?
Oh, probably so.
Okay, let's see. It.
But it was my grandfather who taught us when we were like 5 or 6 or something like that.
And she had not repeated this
I
for
don't
like 65
remember
years.
even learning it, but I knew it, and it was. And then Chris found it on the internet in the hospital. But okay, it's little Asid was a Chinese kid and a cute little brat, I declare, with eyes full of sin and a nose that begins way up in the roots of his hair. Jolly and fat was that frolicsome brat as he played through the long summer's day, and he braided his queue like his father used to way down in Chinaland, so far away. Once on the lawn which Asid played upon, a bumblebee flew in the spring. Melican butterfly, Asid cried as he rose hurriedly from the spot. Me catch him, pull off him wing. He took his cap and gave it a rap, that innocent bumblebee, and placed the remains in the seat of his jeans where the pocket there had the Chinese. Down on the green sat the little sardine with a smile that was bravely demure. He said with a grin, with his eyes full of sin, me spash him, butterfly, sure. And Kai-yi kip ye, Isid cried as he rose hurriedly from the spot. Kai-yi kip yam, Melican butterfly, very much hot.
So did you get it? He thought it was a butterfly, but it was a bumblebee, and he got stung.
Good thing that's politically
Anyway.
correct.
What? What'd you say, Paul?
Good thing that was politically correct.
Yeah,
Oh,
pulled
oh,
up
yeah.
the wings of a butterfly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't be allowed now.
Slurs, yeah.
Okay, now
No.
back to high school. Okay, so you
We
So
toilet
cheerleader.
papered, and we, there were, school
homecoming.
dances and what?
Talk about homecoming.
Oh, yes. You really want what I really was like? Okay, I'll tell you.
okay, yeah, we do. The raw
secrets
truth.
are now coming out.
The raw truth.
The one thing I wanted was to be homecoming queen. That was the first thing. It was in the fall of the year. And
Right out the gates.
I was,
This your senior year?
yes, all this happens in your senior year. They get all the kings and queens and things like that. And so, and I would walk with this boy, Larry Kerfman. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
Did you know him?
Sure do.
He played football, and and so he had ditched me early on. Larry Kerfman did, and so if you're homecoming queen, they have to kiss you one more time. I mean, they have to kiss you when you're crowned. And so anyway, Bambi Dillon, he's another rough, tough.
Bambi? Bambi Sue?
Oh, he was. Would you say he was tough?
Oh yeah. I mean, he was.
The name of
He had a reputation in Wichita for being the tough guy, but he happened to wrestle the same weight that I wrestled.
Yeah.
Did you beat him?
Of course. and then I took his girlfriend.
That wasn't me. I was never Bambi Dillon's girlfriend.
But that's actually how I met Lynn. His
Oh,
girlfriend.
that girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah, Bambi's girlfriend was the senior cheerleader
Head
when Lynn was
cheerleader. Yeah.
when Lynn was a junior at another school. This was at East High,
Yeah,
and I
he's
went to
Southeast.
Southeast. And so I'd beaten Bambi twice in wrestling, and his girlfriend congratulated me. So I thought, hey, that means something. So I called her and started taking her out, and then she had a slumber party for the cheerleaders.
We're still on the senior cheerleader.
And Lynn's a junior, and so I go over to her house to crash the party.
Was it Avie? Was it her?
Yeah, Joan Avey.
Oh, it was Joan Avey.
Joan
Yeah.
Avey.
The
Joan Stromberg.
girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, how funny.
And so and she takes me around and introduces me to all the cheerleaders. There's just
She's a
two little
Christian,
girls,
by the way.
two little girls looking at a picture album, giggling over in a chair,
Sitting
and one of them
all
was
in
Lynn.
one chair.
But
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in. She was a junior. I wasn't interested in her, and she wasn't interested in me. So that's our first contact.
So this is very interesting. I heard later that just the football players vote on the homecoming queen. So Bambi was one of the football players, and the person he was walking with was this Barbie Thompson, and so he.
Barbie.
You sort this out. Draw a chart for this, Tim.
So anyway, so Bambi gets all the football players to vote for Barbie. So he was probably the toughest football player on our team. So anyway, I got runner up, and my dream didn't come true. And then,
Did you like
Bambi
go home
Dylan.
and cry in your bed? And
Huh?
Did you go home and cry in your room?
oh no, you took it in stride. But then Bambi was.
Homecoming.
Well, he was a candidate for homecoming king, and so I was walking
No,
with
no,
him.
I'm sorry. Prom. Was it prom now or homecoming?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, prom.
He was a homecoming.
Or prom king.
He
Prom.
was the prom, the junior senior
Prom.
prom
King.
king candidate, one of them.
It is a mouthful.
And then I was too. And this is kind of funny too because another friend of mine was also. Her name was Leslie Blake. But anyway, back to Bambi Dylan. So we happened to get the prom coming king and queen, and
You and Bambi?
Yeah, she and
But
Bambi.
did
Me and
you like
Bambi.
bring somebody else, and did
Huh?
you have somebody else at prom, and then you're announced? Like,
yeah.
how did
So
that
I
work?
was walking with, and when it was announced, we
Left your dates.
yeah, because I didn't walk with him. I wasn't. He wasn't my attendant or whatever.
A store or whatever.
But this is funny with my girlfriend Leslie. We started describing our dresses to each other. I said, "Well, mine's brocade." She said, "Mine is too." And then I said, "Well, mine's sleeveless." She says, "Oh, mine has cap sleeves. Mine has a bow in the front, and she says, I have a bow in the back." So we get there, and they're the very same fabric. And they're very much
color.
look alike, except for the cap sleeves and the bows.
So were both of you embarrassed?
Oh, I don't
just
think.
laugh?
I think we laughed.
Oh, okay.
That was when
So anyway,
Coordinated.
you were prom king, queen, and Bambi was prom king. So he kissed you.
He kissed me rather than Larry.
Larry.
Kirkman,
Kerfman.
that was your
the one that she liked.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man.
Everybody liked Larry. Let me tell you, he was cute.
Okay,
Was he
so
cute at your 30th, 40th?
He wouldn't come.
he didn't come. I think he was expected to be a big success. And I think he didn't turn out to be.
Yeah.
But
Some-
everybody thought he should be.
Yeah, so I think we read into it that he just was embarrassed to come back and face people.
I've got a flap of skin on my lips.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, now we move.
Lauren has a
One other
question.
Okay.
So who in your life when you were little, do you remember that loved Jesus, that told you about Jesus from when you were
Okay,
from
that
the time
was-
you were born through high school?
That comes later, but
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's
Well, I could do
Yeah.
the where you started. You know, like when I was 3 or 4, my nanny, her name was Nanny, and thank you. She was my grandmother's sister and lived with her, and I just remember my sister.
Gigi?
Yeah, that's the Gigi, and Nellie was her sister, and she was telling us the Easter story in her bedroom on her bed, and I was so upset about the crucifixion, and I just said, "Read it again, Nanny, read it again." And, you know, it just. But that was my first spiritual. No, I did surely wasn't a Christian then, but the story affected me. Yeah.
we'll get back to that
Yeah.
in the college as our college days go along.
So, who is the person that you said you just felt like really loved you when you were
Oh,
little?
my grandmother Kaufman.
Say
the-
the whole sentence. Say my
That's Gigi. Yeah.
But say my grandmother Kaufman. Say the whole
Oh, my grandmother Kaufman. Gigi, yeah.
Was what?
Was the one that I felt loved by. I mean, you know, she would, my sister and I would lay on one side of her and on the other, and when it was bedtime, she had these pull-out couches, and she just talked to us and tell us stories into the night. Loved it.
Was she a Christian? Was she a Christian? She was.
Okay, so
Sorry.
Yeah.
so you graduated from high school and headed for WSU.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your early college.
Rush.
Okay, whatever.
That was
Now
Wesley.
That was Wesley, not me or Bobby.
Oh yes, I did. I was aware of him, but we had a really small rush class of. I wasn't sorority material. I was on Panhellenic where I saw girls not get any bids, and I thought I don't want to be a part of this. But anyway, I don't need to tell about hazing.
But you did get
You got hazed?
you got
Well, no, they have after you've
but she
already
did,
been.
She did pledge though, right?
I did pledge, and they have kind of a,
Hell Week.
yeah, the actives be mean to the I'll tell you this part. Actives being mean to the pledges coming in, and so we'd dress up, or we'd have a little skit, or we'd do something. And so I dressed up as a cigarette.
Because a lot of the actives were cool smokers.
And so I had this little poem that I said, I'm a little cigarette, slender and white. This is my filter. This is my light. When I get to college, you will see just how enjoyable I can be. When I get you in my spell, without me, you'll feel like H-E-L-L. Try and break the habit? No, sirree, I found my place in Delta G. So, and then what happened?
There's my liver.
There's a, yeah, yeah. But then, is that my limerick? Okay, will that do? Will that do?
Bravo!
I'm gonna go to the.
And so the rest of the story, though, the rest of,
Yeah.
there was this
Active.
active this.
He said, "Oh, I don't remember her wording exactly, except I remember
Well, she was
there
a
was
smoker.
light on her face, and she and
She
came
was
at me.
she was a smoker. The active, and she was angry. So go ahead.
Well, she was angry. She says, "Oh,
She was offended.
yeah." Well, she pulled out her cigarette and she lit it, and she says, "You smoke this," and I'm going, "I've never, ever done that before," and I started crying. I've gotten out of more stuff crying.
Traffic tickets, smoking a cigarette.
I know, and that ended the hazing. I ended the hazing.
Did you join?
Huh?
Did you join the sorority?
Oh, well, I was already in.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so, anywho, that was
And
bad experience.
and so that was the year that we met. So
Yes.
give your description of her freshman year was not my sophomore year. It was my second year, but it was not my sophomore year. I had been invited not to come back to Kansas State after my freshman year, and so I went to WSU. So
I found him next
I
to
was a
me
second-
in Western
we were set together. Yeah.
Civilization. And well, Buck has his side of the story, but
Wait, how were you in the same class?
There was again, I don't have very many hours at this point. I had 7 hours. I had 7 hours after my freshman year, and so I'm in this. We're in the class of 500, and I just had become a Christian that summer, so I was a brand new Christian, and God
and
had
I
not,
wasn't.
and she was not yet, and God had not dealt with my cheating yet. God deals with things individually, and so
One at a time.
I knew I needed help in these classes, and so I had heard that she made good grades, and so I always wanted to sit next to someone who'd made good grades, and so I sat next to her because she understood made good grades.
Why did
And-
you never say you heard I was smart?
Well, they were one
I'm
and the
just
same, one and
joking.
the same.
I'm just joking. I did
I
make
was
good
interested in the
grades.
good grades, and so I was sitting there, and the first test came along, and I'm trying to look off of her, and she covers her answers up, And I thought, who is this? I mean, everybody knows Oliphant needs help. You know, who is this that won't help Oliphant? You know, man, it was intriguing to me. I never met anyone that wouldn't let me cheat off of him. And so we became friends then.
Yeah.
So that's
and,
my okay.
And
so,
Young Life, and you were friends with some of my friends because they were Young Lifers, and I wasn't. And you did invite me on ski trips. Was that when I went to KU?
Yeah. Then
Oh, okay.
your next year, then she went to KU. She was a cheerleader at WSU, also a varsity cheerleader her freshman year. Anything
Yeah,
about
and
that?
then no,
Had you given up running by that point?
I never took it on.
No,
Did you have Jim Ryan in any of your classes?
He's a year younger. Yes, I did. We're in the book.
I know. That's what I was
He was in my first aid class. He was really nice, and he was became a Christian. Of course, I wasn't a Christian then, so I wasn't interested. But and then he ran for House of Representatives and got it for Kansas for a while. Then
You never ran?
huh?
Never ran track?
Oh no,
Did Bob Timmons ever say something about your running?
Oh yeah, he got me out one day, and I put on cleats, and I thought, what are these? I couldn't keep up with my legs. They were like they were spinning or something. I wasn't used to that grip, I guess. And I thought they have a mind of their own.
And who's Bob Timmons?
Huh?
Who's Bob Timmons?
Bob Timmons was the coach that was so inspirational. I mean, he was a hero. He was just moral and fair and would stick up for what was right, whether it cost him a state swim meet or not. I just admired him a whole bunch.
Who did he discover?
Huh?
What famous runner did he discover?
Oh, Jim Ryan.
But he did in high school. He would win. He would win state every year in swimming and in track.
Yeah.
And he never swam, did he?
No, he didn't know how to swim.
And
And he
yet
was
he
our
won a
swim
state-
coach.
He wants it.
But he was a good
and,
coach.
And you know, I remember one year, our senior year, he had they'd won the state the year before, and he was expected to win state this year. And they were at the state meet, and a couple of guys, or 3 or 4 guys, broke the rules state out too late or something, and they were the state champions, and he cut them at the night before they were to run, and it cost him the state championship. But he,
Yeah. And his best swimmers drove him crazy because they took up knitting, to relax in between their events,
Counting the quarters.
and the ding 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 of making silver quarters into rings.
Chris is done.
Yes,
I finished
after
the quarter that she had started.
yeah, and then you know what it does? It curls the inside around that has "In God We Trust" on it.
so now she leaves in her sophomore year and goes to KU.
Yeah.
And we're pretty good friends by now. We had gone out on a date a few times whenever she couldn't get a date to go to one of her sorority parties. She'd invite me to go, and when I didn't have a date
that
to
I
go,
cared about going.
so we were friends, and I liked her. I think she liked me, but we weren't romantically involved. But she goes off to KU, and we continue to stay in touch for a few years. But I began to. I liked the qualities that she had. You know, a guy said to me once. He said, find for your wife a woman that has the qualities that you want for a wife, and you can grow to love her. And so I thought, wow, that sounds pretty good. And then I became a Christian, and I knew Lynn was not a Christian. I knew I could not marry her because she was not a believer. But I was very interested by doubt in having in her because of the qualities that she had, even as a non-Christian. So I was waiting for her to become a believer, and so pick up on that. As far as your roommate and the piece that she had.
Oh, well, the Lord gave me a Christian roommate, a Mennonite, real plain, gray little beanie. But she didn't wear a beanie in college. Her name was Olive, and she would always pray before each of her meals. She'd just bow her head, not pray out loud. And I thought, what does she say every day? and she fascinated me, but she also had this inner peace that, that it was the thing. When I was a senior in high school, I was to give a sermon. And it was my search for inner peace, which I hadn't found at that particular time. So I knew that I didn't have inner peace, but she did, and I wanted whatever she had. I didn't know it was a person. So I just was, and we had Bible studies together. I knew all about Jesus. I knew. Nobody ever asked you those questions, but so anyway, she went off, but the next year I went out of the blue to one Bible study. Don't even remember the teacher's name. Know that he talked about being in darkness, and that when you come to know Jesus, you step into the light. And I thought, I'm in darkness, and so came home and started praying. I always prayed. I was scared of God. Anyway, I want to stay on His good side. And I prayed, God, there must be something about Jesus I'm not getting. He's not making a difference in my life. Please make Him make sense to me. And He answered that prayer later on. And He became so real to me that I've never been the same since. And then I called Olive and Buck. I called Olive to tell her, I know what you had. You have Jesus, not inner peace. The inner peace is Him. And then I called Buck to tell him. And then you.
What was your reaction?
Well, that was the open door for me. That was what I've been waiting
Game
for.
on.
So this was like in 1966, might have been.
I think
Did you watch her, how she interacted
Yeah.
with children? And
Yeah, but let me
swimming?
finish this with you.
up at the swimming pool.
This was either the winter of '66 or the fall. Or the spring of '67. She thinks, but either way, it was '66 or '67 that she became a believer. And I'm living in Dallas now, working on Young Life staff, and I've been interested in her, waiting for her to become a believer. So I write her and invite her to come down and spend her Easter break with us. So her Easter break is like April 1st. So she takes a train and comes down to Dallas. I pick her up at the train station and in my little Volkswagen, and we start off going to my apartment. And I was not secure enough that I could have taken rejection, so I didn't ask her to marry me, but I wanted to find out if she was interested. And so I since it's April Fool's Day, I knew as a friend that we had two things in common. That was, we both liked dentine gum and we both liked ice cream. So I thought, aha. So in the car, on the way back from the bus station to my apartment, I said, I can't wait any longer. Here. And so I reach in the glove compartment and I give her this, what I call a ring box. She has a different definition for it. I have a ring box wrapped up, and she opens it up, and I'm watching her reaction as if she's receptive to receiving a ring. And if she's not, it tells me something. If she is, it tells me something. So I'm watching very closely as I'm driving along.
I can feel all this.
And she
building.
seems to be excited, and she's unwrapping this, what obviously is a ring. And she flips it back, opens it up, and there in the place of the ring is a piece of dentine gum with a sign that said, April Fool. And she laughed, but she seemed to be interested in that idea. So, aha.
Is that an allusion to a child that would be born?
So Tim then was the flip side of that, born on April Fool's Day.
A little later on, but
So
April Fool's Day?
that was April Fool's Day,
It was April Fool's Day?
1967. Maybe a few weeks or month after she had become a Christian. So she's a brand new Christian here, and I'm on Young Life staff in Dallas. So we go to my apartment, and that afternoon we're swimming, and I say, "Hey, would you like to have an ice cream cone?"
But you
Remember-
all had never even talked about this. Or...
No, that's even afterwards we didn't talk about it. That's our complaint.
oh my goodness.
So that's right. I did not know she was interested, but.
Different times.
So we had two things in common: dentine gum and ice cream.
Ours is
so
a
I asked her for an
different
ice cream cone. She said yes. So it was homemade vanilla, Bluebell ice cream, and so I go in the kitchen and get an ice cream cone, and take the ring and put the ice cream, stuff it in the ice cream dip, and round it off, and then put it on the cone. Wash my hands, take it back out, and I'm hoping. I thought, boy, I hope she's not a biter. I hope she's a licker rather than a biter. She bites the whole thing and swallows it. I'm in trouble. So she starts licking it, and sure enough, after a while, and we were engaged.
And my dad said engaged.
Yes,
in
that's right. There's a picture. There's a picture of moments afterwards. And
Yeah.
You had the ring. You had the ring.
so your interpretation of that, then.
Oh yes. So
So you eat ice cream
guys,
all
be
the
sure
time in
you're
water?
interpreting your girls right when you no, it's probably just as well he didn't interpret
So
me.
this was a few moments after we
Yeah,
were engaged.
Did
Yeah.
not know the story behind that
We-
picture.
Huh?
I didn't realize
We
that.
were
Oh,
washing,
did you not know?
washing the ice
I'm
cream.
gonna be the next one up on
Who took
Facebook.
the picture? Who had the camera? Who took the picture?
Cedric,
one of my
probably,
one of my
or-
roommates.
This was at Cedric's, wasn't it?
For a second.
Wasn't it Cedric's?
Yeah, he was his pool, but there were several of us lived there.
Yeah, and Ida May. Maybe she took it.
Ida Bell.
May. Ida Bell. Ida May.
But anyway, Lynn
Okay,
has a different
here's
story
my
of our
take.
engagement.
So I get off and we're riding in the Volkswagen and he reaches in and pulls out this little box. Well, this little box happens to be something that I gave him a tie-tack in. Like a Christmas before or
Wait, he was
something.
re-gifting the box?
I don't remember this. This
I
is the
know.
difference.
Of course you don't. So I'm
It
not.
could be possible.
But I feel this, this anticipation over on his side of the car. That he's, I don't know, but the atmosphere was thick, and so I open it up, and then there's this gum and this April Fools, and so I just laughed, and I was really quite relieved because I kind of maybe sensed that he was thinking it may have been a ring, or that he was wanting me to think it was a ring, but because it was this tie tack, it kind of put me off track a little bit. And then at the swimming pool, he gave me the ice, and so I was eating it, and then I see this circle in the bottom of the ice cream thing, and I'm going, what's he doing putting a quarter in my
And it cost twice that much.
anyway, and so I was kind of relieved because we hadn't even talked about it, and I'm going, oh, and I didn't know what to say.
But she called her dad, and
Well, I wasn't opposed to the idea. It's just that I hadn't thought about it yet.
but she did call her dad and said, "I'm engaged," and he said, "In what?"
Yeah.
She said, "So she has."
So I handed. What'd you say? I gave it to you. He hadn't even asked me to marry him. It was like, guess what? What's this stand for?
But-
You connect the dots. I want
Did
you
you
to
have to talk
ask
to her
me.
dad or anything?
No, I didn't do anything right
did-
like
he
that.
did.
But that's why on our she'd complained for years. that I
Don't do
never-
it this way.
Yeah.
Take
I
a
didn't
lesson.
do it right. I didn't know. But on our 25th anniversary,
Yeah.
I did ask her to marry me.
You
I
did.
did. I went through the procedure. I still didn't ask your parents permission.
Uh-oh.
But,
Well, too late now. You got me.
On your 25th?
On the 25th anniversary, I think it was the 25th. Did you all send us to the hotel?
Their 35th. Oh.
No, that was a trip on the 35th. I think 25th. You all sent us to the Hotel Romana Inn on 59. I think for a night.
How romantic, Motel 6.
That's the advantage of having lots of kids. They give you gifts.
Good gifts.
Motel 6. We sent it to Motel 6.
Okay, let's get to the kids.
So that I think that brings us up to date then, where we were married and so okay. Questions from the audience. Are you for real? I think he's serious.
This is real interesting, right? Are you all
He's
interested?
been there, done that.
I've got all this.
Yeah, he has. He's got more stuff than
Okay.
we gave out.
Okay, now questions.
So, when did you start to like him?
Last year, on our 45th
The
anniversary.
question is, when did I begin to think he loved me? That was the.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
the-
always the struggle that she just,
Yeah.
and I'll say that to you guys. That's all women's struggle. All men want their wives to know that how much they love them, but almost all wives don't understand, don't believe their husband loves them as much
Yeah.
as they say they do.
Yeah.
And,
Well, you said on the day you got married, and so.
Oh, I didn't.
Say it again.
no, I
Oh.
told her regularly.
Oh, because the night before our wedding,
Oh,
he had his little
Oh.
guy party, and he was so ticked that I was there,
yeah, that was not
and
good.
I thought, what in the world?
But you gotta rewind. You gotta rewind. Why-
Oh well, okay. Well, my sister a couple years before, I mean, her husband really, I mean, swept her off her feet. I mean, during the courting stage. I mean, just did all these wonderful things. I mean, like the world revolved around my sister. And so the night before their wedding, we dressed her all up and painted her crazy and took her to her husband, you know, and
The bachelor party.
and he just dropped everything and wiped off the makeup that we decked her out in. And so I really wasn't expecting anything, but I wasn't expecting you to ignore me altogether.
And so she had that introduction, having him just dote all over her sister, and then they did the same thing to her. They painted her up,
And
put
he
her in a
wanted me
bathing
out of
suit,
there.
and you know, I'm at a bachelor party and we're playing poker, and
And he was drawing
I,
for a strip
I was
club.
winning, and they bring her in the door, and I thought, what the heck is she doing here?
And this look was on his face.
And I didn't even get up from the poker table, you know. I
Yeah.
thought, this is a bachelor party. She
Get
doesn't
me
belong
outta
here.
here.
And so I keep playing poker, and they finally get the message and leave. And,
Oh,
and
it
I
didn't
didn't
take
realize how
long.
much as much damage that did to her.
Oh, my
as
goodness.
far as feeling like, you know, why am
Because
I giving
everything that later that would happen, you know, it would just affirm that he didn't. And he was, you know, career minded. You were spending a lot of time at his job and probably not a whole lot of time at home. I don't remember all the.
Okay, time out.
Yes.
Okay,
Take two.
we're starting over. There's another story about how we met that Lynn doesn't always like, but
Oh, I
before I
just
became
make a fuss.
before I became a Christian, there was this bar they used to go to. It was a strip joint, and Lynn was one of the strippers at this strip joint, and she was my favorite stripper, and I
Okay, take three.
Next.
Take three.
Wipe that off of there.
Should we do this?
yeah, I would give her dollar bills.
Maybe this?
Oh my goodness. I wasn't expecting that. I thought you were going to talk about
Show
Jim.
us what you would really do.
Huh?
Show your rear skin of your scalp. Show your skin.
If I had that round, I would shave my head.
Oh, you
Yeah,
would
Dad
not-
used to be very self-conscious.
Oh,
Oh, my bubble in the back of my head. Okay, what was your question?
Love.
Lauren?
oh yeah.
We're supposed to talk about the transition.
After
The
you were
transition.
ignored during the stay.
Well, I remember one time, you know, just being so lonely and crying out to the Lord and saying, I just need you to love me. I need to feel that God loves me, you know. And I just remember him saying to me, you believe that your husband loves you. And I go, oh. And it was about feelings. And so it still took a while. You know, that was...
But what you like about him too?
Oh, do you have some time? We have enough
Did
time?
you like anything about that?
Do we have enough time to
Oh
go through
yeah,
this?
there
Just
were
be brief.
qualities-
Just cut it short.
Yeah, there were qualities about your daddy that I liked. He liked people, and he was kind to odd people. So I knew he'd be kind to me. No,
Stray puppies.
We have a couple that
Stray
follow your
puppy.
footsteps.
oh.
You have a couple that go ahead.
So, well, and I always wanted to marry a Christian, so that was kind of a prerequisite.
But she didn't.
I trusted him, huh?
But she wanted to. Yeah, even before she.
I wanted to sweep somebody off their feet.
But she wanted someone. She did not want to marry a preacher, and she wanted to marry someone who could dance. And she failed in both of them.
Well, I thought if I became a Christian, I would have to marry a preacher and be a Sunday school teacher all my life. And that just did not, it wasn't appealing to me at all. And where I got that, I have no idea. But, so.
So Lynn,
Lauren has a question over here. Lauren has a question.
Where are you, Lauren?
Over here.
Lynn, what part
Oh.
of your marriage did you feel like you knew that Buck liked you? How old? Like when did that happen? That you felt loved by Buck?
Oh. I really don't have a sense of time, but it was a long time.
25 years probably. I remember we went to a marriage seminar.
Then I got a taste of it. Yes.
Is that a Glen Airy?
I don't know.
Are you trying to find your
we've been
beginnings?
married 15 or 20 years, and the Bible says love your wives and be a leader for your wives, and I thought I can do that. I'm doing that, and so I really
Maybe you love me just
on a one to or 0 to 10 scale, 10 being perfect, I would have rated myself as being a 9.6 or 9.7, being a good husband. And so I really thought that, man, if more people were like me, more husbands like me, we'd have a lot better families going along. And then we went to this marriage seminar, and so they led us through this process. I ended up asking her, well, how am I doing? How would you rate me? And I'm thinking I'm rating myself a 9.6 or 9.7. She'd probably do a 9.9 or maybe even a 10. And
He's the optimist of the family.
And she said, well, for the last 15 years, I've been very lonely in our marriage. And I pulled the knife out, and cleaned the blood off. And that was just devastating to me because I had had so much pride in thinking that I was doing such a great job. And that was really a revelation
You
to
probably
me.
didn't even know what you were doing wrong. So.
Well, that was such a revelation
Yeah.
to me that I couldn't do it on my own. That impacted my prayer life, where I began to pray, Lord, help me today to love my wife in a way that meets her needs and in a way that pleases you. And so I would begin asking God's help to help me, because I was just trying to do it on my own, thinking that I could do it, and really thinking that I was doing a good job and being very prideful about it. And yet it wasn't working. So that was a turning point for me.
Well, and did you ask
When
like
did you-
the marriage seminar thing? Did you just mention?
Answer whatever you want.
Somebody said something about the marriage seminar, but anyway, it was where we would write to each other, and I tell you, I felt
Marriage
connected or something. I felt like I just needed to communicate somehow on a intimate level, or that my ideas were of value, or he valued my existence or something, so in these notes back and forth, they really did a lot for me. But then of course they ended at the conference thing, and I don't remember if I don't think they did much for you, as far as me writing you. And so just the difference in men and women, we still weren't getting too clearly.
Well, but our questions, where we would start on our dates, we would ask questions.
That was good.
That was helpful.
Yeah, and that went a long way to. It was that I think
we still do that.
Connecting.
Yeah, connecting or.
Because if we don't ask each other questions from the list of questions that we have, we'll talk about finances or the kids
Or nothing.
or the leaky roof, We'll talk about things rather than
or
our
we
relationship.
don't talk.
So,
Yeah.
do you
We
know
don't
each
talk.
other's love language?
Yes,
When did you learn that?
probably 15, 20 years ago, in the middle of our marriage. It took a long time, but your mom's is very clearly, she loves to serve.
Acts of service, quality time.
That's right. She loves to serve. And she wants quality time.
But
She
I
likes
think quality
she likes
time.
physical touch also.
Yeah, quality time and physical touch, right?
And so
I don't know.
that she affirmation. I mean, she likes all. She likes.
I'll take 'em all.
She likes all. Gifts the only one. Gifts the only one really that she doesn't mean a whole lot.
But she does that.
She has to,
Yeah.
perfect gift.
But as far as receiving,
Yeah, I do.
she gives.
Well, it has to mean something.
Yes.
But
It doesn't. It's not always perfect, but
Sentimental, yeah.
yeah,
It has a meaning.
yeah.
But yeah, that is a good. I remember her mom and dad. Her dad, I mean, they didn't communicate well either.
my goodness.
And you know, her dad liked to give gifts, and he spent a lot of money. The year we were like 74, 75 when we were at Wheaton. Her dad thought that
Yep.
she.
You're on.
Her dad thought that he would show her that he loved her by taking her to the Holy Land. So he spent probably $10,000 to take her to the Holy Land, and they came through Chicago afterwards, and she was talking to us. She said, I didn't want to go there. You know, I just like to sit down and talk with him. And we thought, wow, just choo, you know, they
And
just
he
miss,
adored my mother.
they just missed
Oh,
each other.
my
He
goodness.
spent all this money to show her that he loved her, and it didn't mean anything to her.
And she she just came up empty.
She would get on him for doing everything.
Yeah,
Oh, mother? Yeah.
yeah, she didn't appreciate
He
him.
didn't, and he probably needed that praise and admiration, and
Yeah.
he just didn't do anything right.
So when did you guys start going through questions? When did your question date start?
I don't know.
Probably after that seminar, after about 15 or 20 years in our marriage, then
He could have been the great question.
I began to
guru
write questions.
There should be an app.
for the whole world because
Well, there are now, but at that point, this was in the 70s where I began to write questions for us to talk to each other before we would go out on a date. And so we'd go to dinner, and I'd ask her questions, and she'd ask me the same questions. So I'd have 8 or 10 questions for her, and then I began to accumulate more questions and more questions. At that point, there were no books that had questions. And then it get in the 80s, and I began to think about, I bet this would be good to organize these. So I tried to organize them into 5 F's: faith questions, family questions, fun questions, fellowship questions, and the friendship questions. I tried to organize them, but didn't have a computer back then, and so I had all these questions, like 3 or 4, 5,000 questions, but I had no way of organizing them. But I knew they would make a good book, but didn't do anything with it. And then in the late 80s, I went to the bookstore.
Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble, and saw a book of 50 questions there for $10. 50 questions for $10. I have 5,000 questions. And then a month later, another book for $10. And then all of a sudden, there were just gobs of books on the market with all these questions. And
He could have been a millionaire, right?
yeah. So anyway, there's lots of, and then there's boxes of questions you can buy. We really cards. Yeah, the cards are really helpful.
For every
But those
thing
are
under the sun.
and I have and I bought 1,000 questions on the internet for $65. But I encourage people to use questions to.
Well, just like Paul did those questions and the ones I'm filling out for Taya and David. I mean, otherwise those things never get. I mean, I told you, Paul knows more about me than anybody, than my siblings or my family or anybody.
What other questions do you have?
Okay, so on that note, I want individually from both of you, what is your marriage advice? Like, what advice would you give? Let's say, like, 100 years from now, you have great grandkids that are seeing this. What advice would you give them for their faith and for their marriage?
Advice for our kids and grandkids for their faith and for their marriage.
I'm thinking really was a shock that men and women are so different. They think their needs are different, their thinking is different, and for that to be a threat, I would just encourage them that we are different and we should give thanks for the differences and not war against each other, even silently, or and that there's not only one right answer. We usually hold on to things because we think it's the best, or it's proven to us somehow, or me or a woman, that it's, you wouldn't hold on to it if you didn't think it was good. And then if somebody else doesn't think it's of value, then you don't know what to do with that. What do you think?
I think as far as our faith is concerned, I'll think that later. I think as far as relationship in a marriage, I think one of the most important things is to have a good definition of love. I think that's the biggest problem in our culture right now, is that love is equated with a feeling, and then when the feeling is changed, or when it's gone, then I don't love him or her anymore. And that is the biggest unbiblical fallacy. Agape love that God has for us is not a feeling. It is a decision. It is a choice. And so there are three words that I'd like to make sure that everyone knows in the Greek and then also in the English, which we have when we misuse love for all of them. But one of them is like. I like you, which means I have a warm feeling for you. I love you, which means that I choose to treat you in a loving way. It is an act of the will. And then there's lust, which is the sexual desire. All three of them in a marriage are very important, but we need to understand which one is which. And the lust and the like will not keep a marriage together. It must be the decision, the choice, that is not a feeling that keeps a marriage together. I choose. I learned early on if I criticized Lynn, she just fell apart. She couldn't take criticism because she doubted my love anyway. So I thought, okay, I choose to treat her in a loving way, whether I feel like it or not. I choose to treat her. And then as a result of a choice or a decision or an act of the will, the feelings come. The feelings follow the choice. And I think that is one of the most important things. Love is doing what is best for the other person. It is not feeling warm toward them. It is doing what is the best for the other person. Doing, it's active. It's a verb. And it's not just a feeling. So liking a person, the brotherly love, is a feeling. But the agape love is a choice, an act of the will. I choose to love a person. And that makes it, because we're told, I don't want to get on. That's the only one that fits the biblical description. It's an action verb. It is choosing to love someone, because you can't feel warm about your enemies. We're told to love our enemies. Husbands are to love their wives. We're to love one another. We're to love our neighbor, and we're to love our enemy. And only description that meets all of those is active. I choose to love the person, is doing what is best for the other person. Now, as far as faith, I'd say that to know God through Jesus Christ is the most important thing that a person can ever learn, ever think about, ever do, and that it is, and to understand our own inadequacy, our own sin, that we cannot possibly earn our salvation. We cannot possibly please God on our own, but we must have. We must be born again. We must have Christ, and to know Him and grow in Him in our walk with Him is the most important thing. The person becomes the greatest success, the greatest athlete, the greatest musician, the greatest everything, but they go to hell. That's not good. Gain the world, lose your soul. Yes.
Okay, Mimi, your turn. In your own words, if you're sitting down like with a great-great-grandchild, how would you encourage them in their faith? What advice would you give them in your own words? What would you want for them in their faith?
Well, I certainly pray for everybody's now, because I know it's a work of the Holy Spirit, you know, that, but I really, the importance of a genuine faith that changes your life, that's real and not just a religion, that it's a relationship with Jesus, and to do the simple things that he asks you to do. I mean, I am just amazed that he says give thanks in everything, and it may be the hardest thing we ever do is to give thanks for bad things. And then the other one is for your enemies, people that you have broken relationships with, and it can be your children, it could be your husband, but it says to bless them, do good to them, and ask God to bless them, do good to them, and pray for them, and I don't do it. I mean, I find it very easy not to do those things and not think that I'm rebelling against God, but that probably goes true with just life in general, with your kids, your husband, is to apply, to know God's love and how that works out, but then to apply that to whoever he brings in your path.
Let me back up if I could on my faith. Ron Horgan this morning said, Christ died for our sins, he rose from the grave. A 10-word summary of the gospel. Christ died for our sins, he rose from the grave. And that's the content of the gospel. But Paul says in Romans 1:16 that for I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation. Mm-hmm. So the gospel is a power that changes our heart. And I think that's what we're missing in our churches and our culture also today, that we have the content, we understand the information, but we have not experienced the power of where it changes our hearts.
So that would be the lack of obedience.
Well, I think we have to have a heart change before. See, that we emphasize behavioral change. We want people to give up their homosexuality. We wanted to give up their abortion, and we wanted them to change their behavior. But it is the heart that we should be aiming for. Mm-hmm. Now, in a parenting situation, we do have to work on the behavior of your kids as a parent. But in the church, we should be presenting the gospel, let the power of God change them, change their hearts, and then their behavior will change. We got it backwards. We try to get them to change their behavior and come to church and pretend like everything's all together, but their heart is corrupt. So to me, the gospel is a power that changes their heart. And that's what I would like. That's my prayer for my kids, my grandkids, and my great-grandkids. Someone else have to pick up after that.
Well, and I'm thinking of, for us to be aware of God's holiness, and our condition, and that we need a Savior, and then it's an obedience thing. Are you really wanting to obey this new master over you? Which we don't want to. We're rebellious, so it just seems like it's the gospel playing itself out over and over and over again in all kinds of circumstances that you
Any other questions?
find yourself in.
Hearing no other questions.
I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit.
Okay.
Can I ask one more heavy question and then lighten it up?
Okay.
Are you gonna, sorry. So let's say, I just think you've given me such good advice. When my kids are parents, I want to have on film that kind of the parenting advice that you normally give me over the phone when I'm having a bad day.
Well, that's kind of triggered by what the other person is saying.
She's praying, Lord, give me wisdom.
You should just tell me to cry out to God.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
well, but to take it to him for sure, that would be the first thing. But because I know apart from that, you're up a creek without a paddle, or up a, what is that saying?
You don't want to know the actual saying.
Oh, I don't.
The name of the creek is
Skip.
Never mind.
Skip
Never
Creek.
mind.
You're up the Skip Creek. Without a paddle.
I don't want to know. I thought it was some Indian saying. Okay. Anyway, I don't know how to give advice. Praise God if it happens. I mean, and it's good and it's the right thing at the right time. Because otherwise, if that's not even blessed by God, it won't work. I mean, it won't do you any good. Does that make sense?
What?
Well, I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is traditions. Things that things that you've done, obviously, I think will live on, but are there certain traditions that you would like to see kind of passed on from generation to generation? From Gumtree to
Yeah.
12th night.
May Day, yes,
Thanksgiving
12 nights.
girls.
What are some of the traditions that you celebrated that you loved?
Yeah. Well, May Day. I like May Day a lot.
What is May Day? Just describe.
Well, I've kind of made my own thing. I'm sure it was a pagan holiday, and I thought this was a good opportunity for the kids to give instead of get, and
So what
just
happens on
fun.
May Day? What do
Huh?
you do on May Day?
what happens on May Day? May Day is where you get wallpaper books, or you use pretty paper and you make simple baskets and you fill them with healthy things now. Fruits, strawberries,
Carrot.
dark chocolate. Anyway,
Peanuts.
what did I? Oh, pistachios. No.
Essential oils.
Protein powder.
Grapes and strawberries.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Low carb.
And
Yeah,
then what?
and of
then-
course, if I really took the time and did it probably the way I wanted, I'd put a little verse in there. Everything would have a little.
But then what do you do with them? What do you?
Oh, we're talking to this guy.
Yeah, you're talking to that guy.
Oh, okay.
Fred.
Well, you use a stapler because it's the fastest. You don't have to wait for the glue to dry. And then, okay, you put everything in a plastic baggie, and you put the goodies, the things that eat, in the bottom of the basket. You make a loop and staple that on because it'll hold. And then you try to find flowers, and when flowers fail, you use green leaves.
Or fake flowers.
And it's so fun to get these grandkids to be a part of the ones that take them to the door, either hang them on a doorknob if possible, or put them on the doorstep, knock on the door, and run around the house. And then you peek to see when they come out. And
To reveal who you are.
you don't want to. No, you really want to do it secretly, but it doesn't ever. And it does work like that sometimes, but that's what's fun.
Okay, so that's May Day.
That's May Day.
What are some other?
Well, I did
It
like.
was April Fool's Day.
Yeah, I'm not good at fooling. Of course, I liked Valentine's away from. I mean, I like making them, but and if I have an idea, kind of personalizing them. But sometimes there's just not
Personalizing what? What are you talking about?
the little verse or something. That one time I used ewe lambs, I think.
Hey, but
Oh,
what
the
do you
sugar
bake?
cookies.
But then I was gonna get to the sugar cookies. I love making the hearts just to commemorate the day. And Valentine has the Valentine story to go with it, which is really nice. That this guy was in prison, and he was writing love letters to either his church or his wife to be, and just decorated these marvelous Valentine cards, and they were filled with the scripture, salvation and love of God. And so I think anytime you can pass on a spiritual encouragement or message is really the best.
What about Christmas? We always had a special something at the top of our stuff.
Oh, I know, that's true.
So, speak to
So-
Christmas traditions. I want to know traditions. Come on.
Traditions. Yes, I love my deals crafts. Not everybody likes doing those, and so I'd like to do something kind of to commemorate the year, like it was Waldo, it was those happy face pieces of wood, the for Pac-Man or and then there was let's see,
Scotty Dogs.
Sweatsuits.
Scotty Dogs because of the Scotland thing, and those were fun.
You also made decorations, ornaments each year.
Oh yeah, an ornament for and then the goal was, which I really fell down on, was to pack up a little box, and that would be their first ornaments for their tree when they left home.
That's really long.
Sort of worked, sort of didn't.
Lowly.
So, huh?
Made Lowly the worm.
Oh, he went in the top of the stalk, didn't he? Stocking, right? Yeah.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of the game here, so
But I love
what-
Thanksgiving. Oh.
Tell us about
Take
it.
off your
Yeah.
red with
Oh, yeah.
And I love the 5 kernels of wheat, that the story behind corn, 5 kernels of corn, and I like that story of where they trusted God and he sent the softest rain to revive a drought. But they repented, that in fact that's what our country's not doing now, is repenting. And so I have no hope that the Lord's going to help us or spare us.
Should we do the flower cake contest this Thanksgiving?
For flour cake. I think people would be a little afraid of inhaling flour.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to ask, and we may do it for another day, is just the traditional dishes that you made. The
You'd have to-
submarine sandwiches.
You've
the
had.
Pasta.
The pasta salad.
Do you need
the-
Pizza.
No, I just have a pain. It'll go.
Crab crackers and
Hamburger soup.
making animals out of pancakes or making.
all the
Custard.
the quintessential Lynn dishes.
The homemade noodles.
Oh, my grandmother's.
I remember the submarine sandwiches.
How about the Slosky's?
And then, of
We had
course-
sourdough bread.
Toast your dad's Vitamix.
How about
the
the
strawberry cake?
cake or the mystery cans? Anyway, yeah. Well, you'd have to let me know. I could maybe pull the recipes out of my. The mother's banana bread was always good,
Yes.
Your pancakes.
and the strawberry cake.
And Janice's pancakes.
Oh, Janice's.
Half done.
Well, it was her
Half done.
sugar cookies.
Her sugar cookies.
magic marshmallows.
Those are mother's pancakes.
No, the ones with the oatmeal in them.
Oh, those are Mrs. Christian's.
I just like half done.
have them as Janice's.
Oh, do you? Okay. What's this? Are I due for one?
Yeah.
It's overdue.
It's 4 hours. Right at 4 hours.
I took one to church with me this morning in case she needed it. What other
Thank
questions?
you, Sandy Girl.
Maybe I want to know the most embarrassing thing in your life.
The most embarrassing thing in your life.
Was I telling somebody that
Yeah.
it just came up? What was it?
Well,
Or
you said
do
it
we
was your
want to
walking
tell everybody?
school.
Huh?
It was your walking to school with your
Oh,
brothers.
in mine, we had nylon hose and garter belts, and I was using my mother's garter belt, and it was too big, so my hose began to wrinkle around my ankles because I was walking to school, and we wear our Easter outfit, the closest day to Easter, we dress up, and that was just part of the Easter tradition before Easter vacation. And my hose were coming down around my ankles, and there was no place to pull them up. So anyway, I can remember trying to, anyway, I think I don't have too many embarrassing moments.
What about telling our pansy society who is hooked on technology and all this kind of stuff, where we used to walk to school and we used to have to brave through the storms and we used to have to
Uphill both ways.
With a refrigerator on our back.
yeah, exactly.
Filled with bowling balls.
What advice would you give as far as telling the younger generations to tough it out? I mean,
We don't live in that.
We don't live in that world
I know,
now.
but
Yeah, I feel for you all. My goodness sakes alive. It
Hope
would
is
be
all we
your
need.
dad that would give you any kind of, encouragement on, living life head on. I mean, I'd want to hover around you and protect you every step of the way.
That's not true. Because you'd always say you don't always have to be entertained.
Oh, well, that's in your own yard, but, I'm talking about,
Take off on my bike and
go downtown and go shopping for Christmas. I wouldn't encourage any of you to go downtown by yourselves, even in high school. Even in high school, because of so many weird people around here. Yeah, I'm.
Dad?
Well, I think, like Lynn was saying, she wants to prohibit everything.
Mm-hmm.
I want to work within controlling it, but not prohibiting it. A moderation.
Like
with-
an example.
Well, you mean with video games?
Oh, well.
Because, technology is here, and it's a wonderful thing, and it's here to stay. And I think we cannot prohibit it, or should not try to prohibit it, but we can work, maintain it, or managing it, controlling it, having a reasonable, moderate amount of. To me, the big thing is doing what you need to do first,
Yeah.
so that you can do what you want to do. Do what you ought to do, so you can do what you want to do. Get your work done, so that you can play around.
Not play around
Yeah, not play around first and then not get your
without
work done.
any restraint. Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. But a lot of times, even I think it should be, the games and things should be downplayed, though, because that takes away from creativity of creative play. And so the amount of time is the hard thing. Anyway, I mean, it's so much easier to choose a game than to visit or be creative or
Be social?
and be what?
Be social?
Be social, yeah. I was talking more about doing adventurous things outside the home, where nobody's there to, like even walking over or riding a bike over to a friend's house that lives miles and miles away. I
get most of my spankings for.
Without permission or without telling us.
Say where you're going.
Yeah, that's right. You would leave without telling us.
She wants it back up there.
Oh, you want it back up here?
Mom,
Yeah.
memories, special memories or whatever, in recent years or in childbearing years of things that have happened that you're proud about or maybe were freaked out about, or because I know there's many, but I mean, is there anything that comes to mind where you were scared or excited, those kinds of.
I think the thing that I regret most is, I just think God's word, I wished I would have held it in higher regard as far as just having it have a solid place in the home rather than a maybe. I mean, I think we lived it, but to talk about it, to do a lot of talking about life and how God has a plan for this. I don't feel like I prepared you all for.
Well, we.
Well, I'm going to speak for myself.
Okay.
But that's easy to contradict.
Yes.
It's very easy to contradict from our perspective.
Well,
Because I'm just saying, I tuck my kids in every night with the same blessing.
Yeah.
well, I think
yeah.
that's what your mom did. That did really right. Is that, and even you guys, I know in high school wanted to be tucked in by your mom. You wanted her to come in and pray with you, and you know, as far as I know, every night that you were ever home, your mom would go in and pray with you and say good night to you and pray with
She
you.
wrote at the foot of the bed. Yeah.
And so that was what
Then
I attribute a great deal of the fact that the proof of the pudding is in the tasting, and what we're receiving right now is a great deal related to that very thing. Yeah.
Well, and I would encourage you as parents not to talk to yourself and tell yourself that they're getting too old. They really don't want you to come in here. I mean, I was always the first one to play the negative tapes.
They don't want me to do that anymore.
They don't want me to do that anymore.
They're
They're
MP3s now.
anyway, because of my insecurity, I just have been an insecure person all my life, I guess you might say.
Okay, break time.
Now, what's the
We'll continue this next year.
what's the code of your
Her name is Mary Jean Morris. Is there a Mary Jean Morris in our
Oh,
church?
she's bringing lemon squares.
She brought them already.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness,
Do
you
want
guys have
some?
got to have some.
Would you like one?
I will have one with milk.
Okay, right now?
Sure,
Okay.
sure, yeah. Lemon squares, you will like them. Oh my goodness.
Did
yes.
you ever have a recurring dream as a child?
No. Thankfully. I had enough that I had some that scared me enough that I never forgot them. I mean, just one in particular. You know, you had those running dreams and are trying to shut the door and the door won't shut. And can't run fast enough. But this one was, do you remember swimming at Granny O's at the culverts where the...
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, was I ever stressed on that one. Because when the water was up, it was okay, but there was two culverts that were full of tree branches. And if you got sucked into those, there'd be no way to get you out.
So much fun. I remember. Oh, I loved it.
Oh, I know. The clear ones were great. It's just that I had too many little ones running around. Anyway.
Yeah. So was that part of the dream?
That was a dream that somebody fell off and got trapped in one of those, and I couldn't get them out. That was. And so when we went there, and I saw that, I'm not going on here. I mean, I was so hanging on to you guys.
Oh man, I remember that being so much fun.
I know it. See, oh, come here. Come here. Come here. Yeah, I love it. You are such a cutie. Okay, go ahead, Paul.
Okay, when you played make believe, what did you pretend?
Horse. Oh yeah, my horse. My horse.
I got the horse.
Oh, you got the horse.
Yeah.
And then, of course, make believe.
Cooper, have your milk.
Well, I had these frogmen forts that were like big dome things under the water. And
Frogmen?
they were called frogmen. Oh, thank you. Oh, put that up there. But we had all these tubes, and those were they'd bring the fish in from outside and run it through. That was their harvesting of their food, and then we had a little conveyor belt and cut out little fish. They'd go down the little conveyor belt.
Was this what?
Was Susan Hoisington.
Is it something that who built her dad built or? what?
He just brought
Stuff
brought
home.
home all kinds
Yeah.
of pieces of things, and we build them in these big boxes, so you could kind of move them around. Yeah. And then we had these little robots. They were kind of like little plastic GoBots, except they had no movable parts, and so those were our people.
What about favorite songs, hymns?
Oh yeah, I got some of those.
10,000 Reasons.
Oh, so you know.
10,000 Reasons and
And one
did
more.
I
And Christ
use
Alone.
everything to me?
Well, you said anything by Don Francisco, any of the
Yeah,
ballads.
Marco Don Francisco.
But you had Christ Alone and 10,000 Reasons. What's the other one you just said?
Did I say? Okay. Hello. I've got to notice this little girl who's just, oh my goodness, so expressive. Yeah. Okay, I have
Okay, good
10,000 Reasons.
Christ Alone.
In Christ Alone.
Was one of them happy? Oh, happy day.
Oh.
Oh,
That's one of my lenses.
oh, ouch.
Just stick it in there.
Hey dear. Hey dear.
It's fine. It's
Come on, let's take you down. There you go. There you go. Oh, you're gonna do a setup. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Let's do a setup. Oh, 1, 2, 3. It's so hard. It's so hard. And on my old bony knees. Oh, goodness. Oh. Yeah. You're gonna have good old tummy muscles. It's the Navy song. You know, I like that. No, it's God Almighty, strong to save. It's actually Tim. There's a hymnal on the piano, and it's the first hymn.
Food is coming in an hour. Sure we'll be here now. Okay, I'll grab it.
I'm trying to think. It seems like there's a.
So which one is this?
Good food in an hour.
Who is this?
Oh, I do like Amazing Grace.
Who is this again?
Who
Oh
is-
yeah, this is
this-
Quinn. Yeah, that's
This
right.
is Quinn. This is Quinn.
Squishy Quinn.
Huh?
Squishy.
Yeah, they call her Squishy. They call this girl Squishy. Yes, you.
You're like strong.
You
That's
very
muscles.
squishy.
I like your little flower here.
Yeah.
This guy?
Tell about the. Okay.
Okay, that one is. I mean, I'm sure it has something to do with my dad.
Monday.
You want me to bring you the
Must be
old
the-
one?
Is there an older book?
The one that someone gave you.
Okay. Oh no, it has to be. Is there another one like this? A gray
That
one?
was the one on. Well, this is the other one.
You know what? What if I gave? Oh, I bet I gave it back to Lauren.
I'm looking for your shoe. Hey,
Lauren, I think I gave you the book.
I can't find it. Anybody see
Yes.
what
It
age
was
this
this one.
shoe? You gave my wife.
Oh, that's Oh Happy Day. Yeah, I do. That's just a.
The
fun-
plus side is he's missing your
Oh, here it is. Almighty Father, strong to save. Read the words on that. One's about
Almighty Father,
strong to save,
Caitlin, will you help?
whose arm hath bound the restless wave, who bids a mighty ocean deep its own appointed limits keep.
Everybody's used the Jags. They were losing.
Yeah,
Goodness.
Oh man, so
Yeah.
you may be
Yeah.
one of the few left.
I need the Giants card to eat.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure
Yeah.
because all the people that chose Carolina last week
Hey,
been
you.
wiped out, so a lot of people
Hey,
would still
you.
have Carolina to pick.
If the Giants win here, they'll put a bunch of people out too.
But I'm
Aren't they
sure a lot of
good?
people picked Carolina to
I tried to sing that to your daddy when, to your grandpa on the bicycle trip. All the verses, because one's about
So do you know how many pounds he got?
the
Did he get a
air,
lunch?
the sea, and
He didn't know
the-
for sure, but he got to come back and do more.
Say hi there, Kate.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, wow,
How are you doing?
Uh-oh.
How are you doing? Yeah. There you are.
This is it. Yeah, this is good.
Was that a
Yeah,
punt?
yeah.
No, that was an interception.
Oh, go get one. The lemon square.